you can draw this in Procreate. I have some new free Procreate brushes for you, and we will be using those during this fun isometric drawing tutorial. You can find these free isometric brushes in my special treasure chest, which you can find by going to freefromflow.com. These free brushes are part of my new isometric room creator brush pack. With that brush pack, creating isometric rooms is so easy and fun. You'll find a whole variety of basic rooms, furniture, decoration, so the possibilities are endless. And during this Procreate drawing tutorial, I will show you how you can use some of these assets and how you can turn them in this cute kawaii style isometric room illustration. Just don't forget that once you have reached the end of this Procreate tutorial, to share your work. If you're sharing it on Instagram, then don't forget to tag me in the image, not just in the description, because I would love to be able to find your work, and then maybe we will see it in the next video. Like these amazing results from my friends at Patreon. That's where you can find a whole lot more Procreate tutorials, and besides, patrons get a bunch more of these isometric brushes. And for this tutorial, we're working on a canvas that is 2500 pixels by 2500 pixels. The color profile is set to sRGB, and you will find a color palette linked in the description. Now grab a drink, maybe a snack, make sure your iPad is charged, and then let's get started. Alright, let's start off by creating an isometric grid. We need to go to the wrench, then to canvas, then we need to turn on the drawing guide, and then tap edit drawing guide. And here at the bottom you'll see isometric, tap that, and then let's change the grid size. Let's tap this and then set it to 200, and then just tap done, and then tap done again here at the top. Now let's sketch out our room. Let's go and grab a sketching brush. Let's just go to where are they? The sketching brushes. Why can't I find them? Over there, the sketching brushes, and let's use the 6B pencil. And for the color, we can just use pure black or any gray, or actually whatever color you like. And I have the opacity of the brush set to 100% and the size is set to 50. And then let's go to the layer. Let's tap it and then turn on drawing assist so that all our lines will follow our isometric grid. And I will start here at the center, and then we'll make a line and we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to the side. Then we'll go 5 down, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then this way again, 5 of those blocks, and then we'll go in the other direction, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, up, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and back to the center. Then we'll make a line from this corner to the center line, and from this corner, and then we'll go up here. So now we have a very basic isometric room shape. I actually want to add a little bit of thickness to the room. So let's lower the opacity of this layer. We can tap the N, slide to the left to, let's say, 30%, then tap the plus, and then set this layer to drawing assist as well. And now we can stick with this line going up. We'll go a little bit lower, a little bit below that top point, and in this direction, and in this direction. And then let's start here at the top and make a line going in this direction and then downward. And then we'll add volume by adding an extra line here. Then we'll connect these, this corner to that part. Then we'll go down and we'll go a little bit lower. We'll extend the line a little bit. Then we'll move this one to the center and this one as well. Connect these and then go to the other corner. First like this, then this one, extend it a little bit, then go up here. We need this corner to be connected to this one. Then we have this line, we need to extend that a little bit at this little line and then move down. So now we have given it some volume. Now we can actually go and remove that first layer. You can just slide to the left, tap delete, and now let's tap the plus for a new layer. And this is where the isometric brush fun begins. So let's go to the treasure chest brush pack, then scroll down in the brush pack to the wardrobe brush. Let's add our wardrobe first. The opacity of the brush is at 100%. Now let's set the size to 50%, and let's just tap. Now we have our wardrobe. Now we can tap the move and transform tool, the little arrow. Make sure it's set to uniform, and now you can just make it bigger or smaller. Move it to the edge. Let me turn off magnetics in my case. And make sure that it doesn't go over this line here, because then it will be inside the wall. So this little leg should be on the left side of this line. So let's go for something like this. Maybe make it a little bit smaller. I think this looks good. Then let's tap the arrow to get out of here. And now to add more elements, we need more layers. So we'll make a new layer first. We'll tap the plus, because if we would tap or put our new element on this layer with our wardrobe, then we can't use the move and transform tool to move our new object around. So we need a new layer. And then let's grab the next element, our comfy bed. The opacity again is at 100% and the size is at 46%. And let's tap here. Now again, we can go to the move and transform tool. And we can move the bed around. Here we need to make sure, again, that the leg doesn't cross that line. And I think placing it about here looks nice. Then for the next element, again, we'll make a new layer. We'll tap the plus. Then we'll go to our big plant. Opacity is at 100%. The size is at 26. And let's tap over here. Then again, we'll go to the move and transform tool. And let's place it a bit behind our wardrobe, about here. Then we'll go back to the layer menu. We'll tap the plus, go back to the brushes, and this time we'll use the fluffy round pillow. Opacity again is at 100%. Let's set the size to 60%. And then let's tap here. Let's make it a little bit smaller. So we'll go to the move and transform tool. Make it a bit smaller. Place it about here. And then tap the arrow again. Next, to tidy things up, we can go back to the layer with our basic room. Let's turn off drawing assist. And then grab the eraser. Now for the eraser, you can use any brush that is fully opaque, like the script brush. Make sure that the opacity is at 100%. And then you can just remove some lines like this, because you wouldn't be able to see that line, of course, behind the wardrobe and behind the bed. So this is cleanup time. And we also need to clean up the lines of this plant because, well, you wouldn't be able to see these lines through the wardrobe. So let's go to the plant layer, grab the eraser again, and then just go over this area and clean that up as well. Now, if you would have more elements on more layers, then just go through all of those layers and check if any parts need to get erased. Now let's add some more elements. We can add a window and some frames hanging on the wall. Let's make a new layer on top of the others. To do that, let's tap the plus and then let's turn on drawing assist so we can follow our isometric grid. And then let's go back to the sketching brush. We can actually just go to recent brushes here at the top. And let's grab the 6B pencil again. Now let's start about here. Make a line to the left and downward like this. We'll just make a rectangular shape like this. Then we'll make an extra line over here. And then little line here. Go back in this direction. And then this way. Attach it to this line over here. And then an extra line here. Connect this. And then in this direction. So we have a nice simple window. Let's grab the eraser to get rid of this extra line. And then let's add some frames. Let's add some frames over here. We can just make some simple rectangular shapes with an extra rectangle inside. Of course, if you get the isometric brush pack, then these type of things are all in there. So you only need to tap with your brush to add photo frames, posters, decorations, clocks, plants, loads of stuff. And one here. And an extra rectangle inside here. Now we have all the elements, and now it's time to create the line art. First, let's merge all of these layers. Let's pinch them together, and I will lower the opacity of this layer. Let's set it to, well, maybe 30%, and then tap the plus for a new layer. In the line art phase, you can decide what style you want for your isometric room. You can go for something very detailed with thin lines, or you can go for something more playful, or you can leave the line art out completely, of course, and just go for color blocking. These special isometric brushes will just provide you with a base on which you can work. And in this case, for this tutorial, I'd like to go for a more playful look, a bit more stylized, with nice thick lines, and we'll use the script brush for that. I already have it over here since I have used it as an eraser, but if you don't have it there, then you can just go to the calligraphy brushes and you'll find it here at the bottom. Now for the color, I'd like to use this one over here. That's the first color in the first row. And the opacity of the brush is at 100% and the size is at 12%. And also, by the way, we don't need our isometric grid anymore actually. So let's just go to the wrench and turn off the drawing guide and then tap the wrench again. And now we're just going to focus on creating the lines. And in this case, for this style, it's okay if your lines are a little bit wobbly. We're going for a playful look with some breaks in the lines. You can leave some gaps. And I want all of the shapes to be a little bit rounded. It makes them look more cute, a bit like a kawaii style. So just follow your sketch lines, but not exactly. Try adding roundness and playfulness. Doesn't have to be completely straight. You can leave some little gaps. And just rotate your canvas as you go. Make those corners a little bit rounded. Like I said, the lines don't have to be perfectly straight. It's okay if you see some wobbles. And I will do the same for that inner line. And over here, you can add an extra line for that corner. So this is actually a very relaxing stage of the process. Just let go of perfectionism, follow your lines, and just relax. And of course, embrace the wonkiness. And now let's add these type of lines to all of the elements like this. And you can see how I didn't follow every single line. I simplified the plant a lot, for instance, and a pillow here as well. Don't worry about following every single line that is in the isometric brush. Now this is actually the perfect time to take a screenshot in case you want to use my result as a reference. And now we can move on to adding all the colors. Let's first turn off our sketch layer so we can clearly see all of our lines. And then let's make a new layer underneath our line art. Let's tap the plus. And then for our first color, let's color the walls. Let's use this color for that. That's the third color in the first row. And it's very light, so I hope you can see it on camera. And let's just use our script brush. This is probably barely visible, but we are going along the edges of the walls. And you can go a little bit over them. That's okay. So like this, then we'll also go along the window. And that inside of the window here. And then close that shape. And now we can drag in the color. Then on a new layer on top, so first we'll go to the layer menu, we'll tap the plus. On a new layer, we'll use this color, second color in the first row, and we'll use that for the floor. So let's go along the edges. And of course you can zoom in to make sure that everything is tidy. Make sure that you create a closed shape along the edges of the floor here and along here. So a closed shape, and then you can drag in the color. Now let's make another layer on top. Let's tap the plus for the edges of our room. I'd like to use this color for that. That's the fourth color in the first row. And we'll use that to go along the edges and make sure that you don't have any gaps between the wall and this part. So we don't want any white gaps. We just go along with our script brush. Filling that entire area, that entire edge. And here as well, make sure that you don't have any white gaps. And here we are back at the start. And now let's color the other elements. Let's add some color to the window, for example. We can actually do that on a layer underneath this one. So first let's tap this bottom one, then tap the plus. And then for the color, grab this one, this light blue, sixth color in the first row. And let's use that over here. Make a shape like this. And then drag in the color. Next, let's make a new layer on top of the others, but underneath our line art layer, of course. Let's tap the plus, and then let's grab this yellow. Second color in the second row, and I want to use that for the wardrobe. Just go along the edge. Keep it nice and tidy. Don't leave any gaps along the edges, or don't go over your line art like I just did. And then drag in the color. I want to use the same color for this little pillow. Drag in the color. And for the bed. Don't go over the edges. I did leave a little mark here. Let me grab the eraser. That's that. And then for the other elements, let's tap the plus for a new layer. Let's grab this color over here, third color in the second row, and let's use that for this part. Then we'll tap the plus again for another layer, and then for the color, we'll grab this one, fourth color in the second row. We'll use that for this. Then let's continue. Let's tap the plus for a new layer again, and then let's grab this color, first color in the second row, and we'll use that for this. Then let's move on to the plant. Let's tap the plus for a new layer. Then let's grab this color over here, second color in the third row, and let's color all the leaves. Then for the pot, let's make another new layer. Let's just do that underneath our leaves. Let's tap this layer first, then tap the plus. Then for the color, let's grab this one, fourth color in the third row, and then let's just color the pot like this. And then finally, we need to color these frames hanging on the wall. Let's do that on a new layer. Let's tap the plus on top of all these layers. And then let's just go in here and add some random colors. For instance, let's grab the green, second color in the third row. Let's use that for this frame. Then let's add a purplish color, fourth color in the first row. Choose that here. And perhaps for this frame, you can just grab some random colors from the color palette. Let's also use this one, fourth color in the third row. Use that for this frame. And then let's grab this light blue. Let's grab this one, third color in the second row. And let's use that for this one. Now let's make a new layer on top. Let's tap the plus to create some artwork. First, let's grab this color, first color in the second row. Let's add that here. Then let's grab this color, second color in the first row. Let's use that here. And then let's grab this blue, notice purple, the fifth color in the second row. And over here, let's just make a little heart, maybe some lines. This is a little sweet note. And then let's grab this color, fourth color in the second row. Here we can add some lines. Maybe this is also a note. Then let's grab this color again, third color in the second row for this one. Now to add some artwork here, let's go to the layer, tap it, and turn on alpha lock. So we won't be able to go outside of these shapes. So for instance, we can use this color over here, third color in the third row. Let's make a little wavy shape here. You can barely see it. Then go for the green, second color in the third row. Make another one. And then we'll grab this first color in the third row. Put that in front. And then we can also add a little sun with the yellow here, second color in the second row. Add that here. So we have a tiny little landscape there. But then let's grab this color, fifth color in the second row. Let's just add some random shapes in this one. Some little circles. Then let's switch to what shall we do? Let's go for this one, fourth color in the first row. And here we can make some wavy shapes. You can keep it very simple. Like that. Now let's also add some clouds to our sky that we can see through the window. Let's make a layer on top of this one, on top of layer 6. Let's tap the plus, and then let's just grab pure white. We can double tap here to grab pure white. And then let's just make a very simple cloud shape, close it, drag in the color, and then another one over here. Close the shape, drag in the color. The final thing we'll do for our illustration is add some shadow and some highlight. We are going to do that by making use of multiply and screen layers. Now let's start with our floor here. There we have our floor, layer 4. We'll tap the plus, and then we'll tap this new layer and set it to clipping mask so that whatever we draw here, it'll only show up on the floor. Then tap the N, scroll up to multiply, and we'll lower the opacity by using the slider, and we'll set it to 50%. Then for the color, we'll grab this one over here. The fifth color in the third row, we are going to use it for all of our shadows. Now for instance, over here, there will be some shadow. The light is coming through the window and it's not reaching here. And it also can't reach under the bed. The bed is dropping a shadow. So we can make a shape like this, color it in. And also for our pillow, it's also dropping a shadow. And our plant here, and underneath the wardrobe. Shadows are also cast on the wall, so let's go to the wall layer over here, layer 3. Let's tap the plus. Let's set this layer to clipping mask. Then again, tap the N, scroll up to multiply, and set it to 50%. Now I'm setting it to 50% because otherwise the shadow will get too dark. Oh, and by the way, if you need to save layer space, then there are some layers that you can merge together, like the clouds with the sky here. You could get rid of your sketch layer, and these frame layers can also be merged together. And of course, once you're happy with your shadows, you can also merge the shadow layer with the base layer. Now let's add some shadow on the walls. Like for instance, underneath here, underneath that windowsill, and on the side of some of these frames. Now the light is coming from this window, so the shadow should be on the opposite side. Just these little shadows, also along the plant. And next to our wardrobe here. Then let's move on to the objects. Let's start with the wardrobe and the bed and the pillow. Let's tap the plus, set that new layer to clipping mask, then tap the N, scroll up to multiply, and set the opacity to 50%. Then let's go along this side of our wardrobe. That's where the shadow will be, on the opposite side of where the light is coming in. Also along this edge. And for this pillow, along this side. And along the bed. And over here. Then we'll move on to the blanket here and the pillow. We'll tap the plus, set that layer to clipping mask, tap the N, scroll up to multiply, and set the opacity to 50%. Then we'll go along this little area and along the underside of the pillow. And it's also dropping a bit of a shadow on the blanket. Perhaps there's a little shadow over here, like that. Then we'll move on to this part of the bed. Let's tap the plus, set that new layer to clipping mask, tap the N, scroll up to multiply, and set the opacity to 50%. And again, we'll add the shadow to the opposite side of where the window is, where the light is. So that's over here. Can make it a little bit wobbly. Next, let's move on to that windowsill. We'll tap the plus, tap that new layer, set it to clipping mask, tap the N, scroll up to multiply, and set the opacity to 50%. And then we'll just go along this edge, adding a shadow there. And now we just need to work on our plant. Let's start with the pot, tap the plus, set the new layer to clipping mask, tap the N, scroll up to multiply, and set the opacity to 50%. And again, the shadow should be on the opposite side of where the light is, like this. Then for the leaves, again, we'll tap the plus, set the new layer to clipping mask, tap the N, scroll up to multiply, and set the opacity to 50%. And then we'll go over the leaves, over the opposite sides of the light source. But also sometimes some leaves might cast a shadow on another leaf. But just don't worry about it too much. This is a very stylized illustration. Just try to mainly keep the shadows on the same sides for these objects. This looks good. Now the only thing we need is some highlights. And I'm not going to add them to all of the objects. I think the windowsill looks good like this. The frames look nice, but we can add some highlights to the furniture, to the bed, the wardrobe, the plant, and the pillow. Let's start with the bed and the wardrobe and the pillow. Let's tap the plus for a new layer again. We'll tap that new layer, set it to clipping mask. Then we'll tap the N and scroll down to screen. Screen is great for highlights. And again, we'll set the opacity to 50% so it's not too intense. And then for the color, let's grab this one. Third color in the first row. Let's go in here for our pillow. And with the lights, of course, we need to be on the side of where the light source is. So it's opposite of the shadows. Also add some here on the side of the wardrobe, on this drawer, maybe over here. It's very subtle. And this little edge. And then for the bed, light would be hitting here. Then let's move on to the rest of the bed. Let's go to this layer, tap the plus, set the new layer to clipping mask, tap the N, scroll down to screen, and set the opacity to 50%. And now let's add a little bit of light here to the top. That's where the light is hitting. Again, very subtle, but it's there. Then for this layer, first tap this multiply layer, then tap the plus, set the new layer to clipping mask, tap the N, scroll down to screen, set the opacity to 50%, and then add the highlight over here along that edge. Then finally, we just need the plant. Let's go there. Let's start with the pot over here. Tap the plus, set the new layer to clipping mask, tap the N, scroll down to screen, and set the opacity to 50%. Now let's just add a little edge here and along the side, very subtle. And then for the leaves, tap this layer, tap the plus, set the new layer to clipping mask, tap the N, scroll down to screen, set the opacity to 50%, and then add little highlights on the side of the light source. Just a few. Like this. Now, as a final little touch, you could also add a little shadow to the room itself. You can tap the plus and drag this layer all the way to the bottom. Then let's set this layer to multiply. So scroll up. Let's lower the opacity later. Let's grab our color, our fifth color in the third row. And then let's make a line like this. You can be a bit random here. And one like this. Make sure you close the shape behind here and then drag in the color. And now let's lower the opacity. Let's tap the M, use that slider, and let's set it to 20% so it's really nice and subtle. And there you have your super cute kawaii style isometric room. And when you use the isometric brush pack, the possibilities are endless. And you can easily make a wide variety of isometric rooms. So don't forget to check that out, or perhaps you want to move straight to your next tutorial, then I think you might like this one next. I would like to thank you for watching, and I will see you next time for the next tutorial.